guys, so for today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you how I achieve my smoky eye. So I'm just going to throw this out there. I'm no makeup artist. I'm no Carly Bible or Jaclyn Hill, but a lot of my friends and family seem to think that I can do eyeshadow because they always ask me to do it. So I decided to film this video for you guys, for anyone who's starting out with makeup or just who hasn't figured out how to do smoky eye, because they are hard. I mean, you know, figuring out what colors to use, what brushes, how to make it look good, how to make your eyes look like the best they possibly can with makeup. But yeah, so if you guys want to see how I created this eyeshadow look, then just keep watching. Okay, so the first thing you're going to want to do is prime your eyes, obviously, so that your eyeshadow stays in place all day. I really like to use the Smashbox 24-hour Photo Finish Shadow Primer. Oh my gosh, I used to say that all the time in my videos, and I haven't said it in so long, so yeah, it's a little bit of a tongue twister. I really like this one. It has a little bit of color to it. As you can see, I don't know if my camera will focus, but yeah, this is what it looks like. I'm going to be putting this all over my lid, and I actually used a little bit too much, so I'm going to just like stick the rest in the cap and use it for my other eye. But yeah, I'm going to be priming my whole lid so that my shadows stay in place all day and they don't rub off. This is a really, really good base. It's a little bit pricey though, so if you want, you can just use any concealer or foundation that will work just fine, or any like primer that you prefer. Really doesn't matter. It's just good to have some sort of a base before you start your look. And while that's drying, I'm just gonna add some translucent powder underneath my eye, and that's basically just gonna act as like a barrier so that in case you have any fallout from your eyeshadow. I'm the type of person who prefers to do their base makeup first as opposed to my eyes. So if you don't want to add the translucent powder under, you can just skip your base makeup, do your eyes, and then move on to your face. I just haven't figured out how to like get around my eyebrows with my beauty blender, so yeah. I like to do this sometimes if I want to be like super meticulous. Is that the right word? I don't know. Sometimes I skip this step, but if you want to have like a really flawless eyeshadow look, I definitely recommend this. And then once you're done, you can just brush it away. Okay, and then for today's look, I'm going to be using the Kat Von D Shade and Light Eye Contour Palette. So this is what it looks like. Sorry, I'm super zoomed in. So the first thing you're going to want to do is set your whole eye, because although we let this dry, it's still kind of tacky and it's going to be really hard to blend your eyeshadow if you don't set it. So I'm just going to be going in with this banana shade right here. I'm going to put that all over my lid, and that way the colors will stay on top and they won't like blend funny. Yeah, so with a fluffy brush, I am going to set my entire lid. And then the next thing you're going to want to do is go in with the transition shade. So I would suggest any kind of like medium toned brown, or more like on the lighter side, something obviously a little bit darker than your skin tone, but anything like a bronzer shade would be perfect. So I'm just going to be going in with this first shade right here. It's always better to use a matte shade as well, just because it will act more like a shadow. You wouldn't want to contour with anything that had like shimmer or sparkle in it, so this is kind of like the same idea. And you're basically just going to be following like the natural crease in your eye. So basically where your eyeball is, you're just going to be like following it, and just pick up a tiny bit of eyeshadow at a time. That way you don't add too much. And yeah, so I'm just going to obviously show you. It's a lot easier to like watch somebody do it than explain. So yeah, I'm just going to follow the natural crease in my eye like this. And sometimes it's easier to have your eye open, because see, you can see exactly where I'm going is where my eye is creasing, like where the lid is. So picking up just a little bit of product and doing windshield wiper motions, and then little circles just to help blend everything out. So as you can see, the only shadow that's on my eye is on my crease. There's not very much of it on my lid or up around my brow bone. That's really where you want to concentrate it, is just in this little area. You also want to make sure you don't go too close into your inner corner, because you want to keep all the darker shadows toward the outside, or it's going to make your eye look smaller. The inside is for more brighter colors, or like your highlight, just to make your eye pop. And to deepen your eye, you want to keep the darker colors to the outside. And then going in with more of an angled eyeshadow brush, I prefer to use these as opposed to obviously a fluffy eyeshadow brush, because you have a lot more control, and I find it just fits in that part of my eye really well. And then I'm going to be using this dark chocolate brown as my outer corner shade. So you definitely want to concentrate the darker colors in the outer part of your eye to ensure that you don't make like your eyes like any smaller than what they are. You want them definitely to look bigger, and by putting the darker color on the outside, it will help like make that illusion. So basically what I'm going to be doing is I'm just going to be stamping that color going up towards my brow, and then I'm going to turn my brush and do it the opposite way, basically making like a little V on my outer corner and connecting those lines, and just doing that little by little, adding only a tiny bit of eyeshadow at a time because you can always add more, but it's really hard to blend it away. So definitely just pick up a little bit at a time, keep adding it, make sure you're only focusing it in this little area so that it doesn't get too out of control. And when you're happy with the amount of pigment, you can go ahead and take your blender brush again and just slowly start blending out the outsides. I prefer to flick my eyeshadow out to give it more of a cat eye effect. If you like more of a clean eyeshadow look, I recommend using tape and just putting it along your eye here. That way no shadow goes on the outside of it and you have a really crisp line at the end. You can also do that if you have trouble applying liquid eyeliner. That's a really, really good trick. I personally prefer it to look a little bit more blown out and not messy, but not as like straight. So that's why I prefer to use that angled brush, and I like to use those stamping motions to get that shape that I desire. And yeah, so I'm just gonna blend everything out, making sure that I'm blending that dark shade in with the original transition shade. That way there's no harsh lines. That's like the biggest tip I have, is just make sure that you're blending all your colors together and it will look fine. Even if it doesn't, that's okay. It's makeup. That's what makeup is for, is just have fun. It's okay if it doesn't look perfect. My makeup for sure never looks perfect. And you can always go back in with that initial transition shade just to help blend everything out. If you feel like you've lost it at all throughout all this blending, you can also add in more shades that are similar to that transition shade at the start if you want it to look a little bit more of like a gradient. But for me, I personally just stick to like only a couple colors, just to make it super easy. But yeah, if you want to go crazy and add more, you totally can. You just do the same process, just add one shade at a time, building it up to how you want it, and then blending it all out. Okay, and then for the lid, I personally like to go in with like a shimmery gold, but you can definitely go in with a matte shade if you prefer. So I'm just going to be going in with Primavera from the Anastasia Modern Renaissance palette. I literally cannot speak today. Also, I'm just gonna go for a cold, so I probably sound like a man. So yeah. So I'm gonna start packing that onto my lid, and I'm not going to pass this section. I'm going to keep it more on like the inner 3/4 of my eye, just to make sure that we don't take away from that dark shade that we applied. You can also spray your brush with like a setting spray if you're using shimmery colors, just to make them stand out a little bit more, but this one is perfect. I don't have to do that, but I mean, if you wanted to be a little crazy, you could definitely do that. Okay, and then for my lower lash line, I'm basically going to be repeating the exact same steps. I'm going to be adding the transition color along this part of my eye, so I'm not going to go all the way up to my inner corner because I'm going to leave that for my highlight. So yeah, the transition color I'm going to bring all the way up to here. And then I'm also going to add in that darker color just on the outer part of my eye. Again, not all the way in because I don't want to close off my eye, but I'm going to basically just mimic what I did on the top. And then I'm also going to add a tiny bit of the gold from the Modern Renaissance palette just to make sure everything is cohesive. I think that's the right word, and matches. Alright, finally to highlight, I'm going to be going in with this white shade, going back into the Shade and Light palette by Kat Von D. So I'm going to be adding that shade to my inner corner as well as my brow bone, just to add a little bit more light, open my eye up a little bit more because we added a lot of dark colors, and yeah. And for your highlight, you can definitely go in with more of like a shimmery shade, but I decided to go in with matte shade because my lid is kind of shimmery, you know, and I didn't want to take away from that. But yeah, I'm just going in and making sure everything is nice and blended so that there's no harsh lines, because the whole point of a smoky eye is that everything kind of just, I don't know, blends into one another. It's kind of like an ombre effect. So yeah, making sure you're blending a lot and going in and adding more color and pigment if you've lost any in the process. And whenever you're happy, you can go ahead and brush away that translucent powder. At this point, you can either take off your tape that you applied here if you wanted a super crystalline, or you can keep it on for the eyeliner. But I decided to skip that step, but definitely feel free to do it if you think it will help in any way. Definitely helps me when I first started learning how to do a smoky eye. But yeah, that's basically how I do mine. I'm just going to do my other eye, add some eyeliner, mascara, and I will talk to you guys in a second. Okay, so that completes this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please keep in mind, I'm no makeup artist. This is just like self-taught. I'm not going to school for this. I don't actually know what I'm doing. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed this video, nonetheless, don't forget to smash that thumbs up and subscribe down below if you haven't already by hitting that little red button. That way you can see my videos every single week. Let me know down in the comments if you have any other tips or tricks in terms of doing like a smoky eye. And yeah, so thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, don't forget to smash that thumbs up. I upload every Saturday and then I upload on Wednesdays, part of my Sims Let's Play. Yeah. Bailey and I film Sims videos and they're pretty lit, you know? Okay, never gonna say that ever again, that was so lame. But yeah, thank you so much for watching and I will see you on Wednesday for our next Sims video. Bye!